Hello. Happy Monday. I've had a super busy one, so I'll just wait for a few more people to jump on and then we will get going. Apologies now if I'm sneezy. I've had a very hay fevery few days. I'm sure that's the same for some other people. If you can't hear me, then let me know, but hopefully you can all hear me okay. Fab. So today's live, we are going to be talking about the role of nutrition in injury recovery and in injury prevention as well. So it's very easy when we're injured. Sometimes we actually sit at home and we don't eat properly. Sometimes we eat too much. Some people actually go the opposite way and they're like, oh, I really shouldn't be eating right now, I'm injured, I don't want to eat too much because if I do, I'm going to put on weight, and those kind of things as well. But then also people that aren't injured, it's probably not something, you might be conscious of your nutrition, but you might not be conscious of your nutrition in the sense of preventing injuries. You're more just thinking about it to do with weight loss or aesthetics or training and that kind of thing. And so today we'll be looking at the impact of nutrition on eating for recovery and eating for injury prevention as well, and not just so we can see why it's so important. So first off, we sort of explore the impact of nutrition a little bit. We want to be making sure that we're eating lots of protein, we're eating lots of antioxidants, omega-3 fatty acids and vitamins and minerals. And the reasons that we want to be having these is because they're really good for tissue repair, reducing inflammation, supporting immune function, and also enhancing bone health as well. And bone health is probably something a lot of people don't think of until they get older and they have things like osteoporosis or they have falls or things like that. So, but it is still something that is very important to consider. So when we're thinking about protein, protein is amazing for muscle repair and recovery. So whether you have got an injury or if you've got, or if you're trying to prevent an injury, you want to make sure that you're eating enough protein to sustain the level of activity that you're currently doing, because the last thing you want is for your body to essentially start using your muscles as a source of protein if it's not getting enough protein. So protein is going to be things like chicken, turkey, fish, eggs, dairy products, things like that we mainly get our protein from. Obviously there is an increase of people that are vegan and vegetarians and that kind of thing, so they may choose to go for more of the beans and lentils and the plant-based options as well. Hello to a few of you that have just joined. We've only just started. You can always go back and watch this from the beginning afterwards, but we're currently on the topic of protein and why it's important. So that's why protein is so important, because we want to make sure that we're getting adequate recovery in the muscles. And if you're recovering from an injury, if you've not been eating enough protein, then your body's just going to be slow to recover, and that's obviously not what you want. So antioxidants, I feel like this is a word that is bandied around a lot, and it's a bit like, but what is an antioxidant? So an antioxidant is actually a special kind of molecule that helps to protect our body cells from damage. So our cells actually get sometimes produce harmful substances, and they are called free radicals. Again, you've probably heard of free radicals and antioxidants. You're like, oh, sounds nice. I hear that night cream's got antioxidants in, and I hear blueberries are good and things like that, but you don't actually know why you're taking it, why you've got it. So our cells produce free radicals, and antioxidants can basically help with that. So the free radicals that our cells produce, which they can cause damage to our cells and our tissues, the free radicals are created when our body breaks down some food, or when we're exposed to things like pollution, sunlight, tobacco smoke, things like that. And our antioxidants basically are superheroes. They neutralize the harmful free radicals. They donate one of their own electrons to the free radicals, which basically stops them from causing further damage. So if you're doing lots of things that damage your cells, like maybe you live in London, you live in quite a polluted area, you're out in the sun loads, you like to go on holiday, maybe you're not good with your sun cream, maybe you smoke or you have friends that smoke and you're often around them. If we're then not having those antioxidants, those free radicals are just running wild in your system, and that is going to make it more likely that you're going to become unwell, potentially get other diseases as well. So that's why the antioxidants are so good. The antioxidants help keep our cells healthy and they prevent damage that can lead to various other health problems. And you can always think about antioxidants as our body's like defense system. So they're working to keep our cells so safe from harm. And they're found in lots of healthy foods, especially you think of like colourful fruits and vegetables like berries, I mentioned blueberries earlier, spinach, tomatoes, and nuts, seeds and certain spices like turmeric and cinnamon. They've got lots of antioxidants in as well. So if you're including, antioxidants in your diet, then we can help support our body's kind of natural defense system and promote overall health, well-being. So antioxidants, that should be one of those things that's top of your list along with protein. Antioxidants also help actually to reduce inflammation and also oxidative stress as well on the bodies. And like I said, berries, leafy greens, actually that's another one. Citrus fruits, I think I missed off my list. Cruciferous vegetables, so broccoli, cauliflower. I'm not a big fan unless cauliflower is covered in cheese personally, and broccoli, I literally just swallow and pretend I'm not even eating it. I do something where I don't know if anyone else does this. I eat my vegetables on my plate first because I don't really like vegetables and I have to force myself to eat them. So I eat them first and I can just pretend they're not even on my plate, and then I can get on with the dinner that I like. Omega-3 fatty acids. So again, something else that you like hear all the time on like the TV or the radio. Oh yeah, I should be having that. But why? So omega-3 fatty acids are actually really good as anti-inflammatory. They have lots of anti-inflammatory benefits. So foods that have that in are sort of quite fatty fish. So that's like salmon, mackerel, sardines. If you're a vegan and maybe you don't eat fish, then like chia seeds, flax seeds, walnuts, avocados, they are vegan friendly and they are also full of omega-3 fatty acids as well. And our next thing is vitamins and minerals. So vitamins and minerals are really important in supporting overall health and well-being. As I'm sure you've always been told, like having vegetables, it's got vitamins in it and things like that. But they're actually really good when it comes to healing as well. So vitamin C, which is found in citrus fruits, it's found in strawberries, bell peppers and things like that. That is brilliant for actually helping with things like the common cold. And things with vitamin C as well that's really interesting is it actually degrades in your system within about 12 hours. So overnight, for example, if you've finished your evening meal at 7 and then you wake up at 7 in the morning and you don't have breakfast maybe till 8, 9, you don't have any vitamin C in your system by that point because it only lasts about 12 hours in your system. So if, for example, you're not going to have fruit then or any of the other things that contain vitamin C, you might want to have a vitamin C tablet then, and then later on in the day have a few more foods that will contain vitamin C. I always take vitamin C tablets every day, and I also take vitamin D tablets too, which we'll be getting onto in a minute, because you basically can't go wrong. Like the worst that happens if I overdose on vitamin C because I have a tablet and I have an orange isn't going to wear out. Like it's not going to be harmful to me, and they're relatively cheap vitamins to buy, and they really do help support your immune system. Vitamin D is obtained from sunlight. So days like today and the weekend, wowee, you can get your vitamin D in. And I always remember being told, oh, there is no food source that gives you vitamin D, it's only sunlight. And I was like, oh, that's a bit weird, but that is not the case. So don't be believing the myths that people tell you. It's also from fortified foods as well. So that's like breakfast cereals, bread, flour, margarine, salt, snack bars quite often, dairy, milk and plant-based milk alternatives as well, juices and lots of baby foods as well. I've actually got quite a lot of vitamin D in there too. The other thing that's quite good as well for recovery is magnesium. So that's like nuts, seeds, whole grains. And again, you can also take supplements for that as well. So sometimes at night I'll take ZMA, which has got magnesium in it. I just buy it off Amazon and it's quite good for recovery. So that's another really good one that you can have. So by incorporating all these like nutrient-rich foods into your diet, you can really provide your body with the necessary building blocks for optimal recovery and for injury prevention, which is brilliant. So when we're eating for recovery, it's also really important to stay hydrated, and particularly in this weather at the moment, like you want to have a water bottle honestly glued to you. Hydration in the context of recovery and in the context of injury prevention it helps our body function properly and it supports the healing process. So when we talk about hydration, we mean making sure you've got enough water in your body. And water can come from actual water, fruit teas or squash as well will also class as water, having water in your body. But natural water is probably the best way to go. And it's like a superhero for our body, just like our antioxidants, because it plays many important roles. It helps transport essential nutrients. So if you're going to take all your vitamin pills in the morning, if you're then not going to drink anything till 2 in the afternoon, those vitamins and nutrients actually can't get around to our cells because our water is what helps it flow through our body like a river. So it also helps then to remove any waste products in our body as well, hence why we excrete urine. And it keeps our joints lubricated too. So if you've already got an injury, you don't then want to have a joint that's also stiff because you've not been drinking enough water. But equally, you don't want to get injured because your joints are stiff because you're not lubricating them by drinking enough water. When we're injured or like trying to recover, our body needs these processes to work really efficiently. So making sure that we're having enough water is going to be really good for that. Water also helps with circulation of blood, and obviously blood carries oxygen and nutrients to our muscles and tissues as well. And this oxygen and nutrient delivery is essential for healing damaged tissue. So if you've got a tissue that is damaged, part of the healing process is actually organised cell death. So the cells that are damaged as a result of the injury will die. And then we have other cells come along, which I call like dustbin cells, which basically eat all those other cells. But obviously after that, we then want to flush all of that out. And if we're not having enough water, we're stopping the enzymes getting there that need to get there to break down the actual cells of the injury. And then we're stopping the dustbin cells from coming along too. And then we're just leaving everything there to pile up. So we really need to make sure that we're having enough water there. The other thing is as well, if you've got water retention for whatever reason, actually a lot of the time we need to drink more water to stop that. So if you've got swelling and inflammation in a joint, drinking water is then going to help settle that down as well. So that's obviously good. The other thing is, staying really hydrated is going to help with muscle cramps and stiffness, which again can just hinder our recovery and lead to further injuries as well. If we're dehydrated, it means our body doesn't have enough water, and this can slow the healing process down, and dehydration often makes you feel quite tired. It will affect your concentration, and it can also make it even harder for our body to repair itself. So let's put that in a sporting environment, for example. If it's a really warm day, maybe you hadn't drunk enough before you got there, you're now playing your sport and you're really sweating, you're now becoming dehydrated. If that is then affecting your concentration and making you feel fatigued, are you going to be performing at your best during the latter stages of that sporting exercise? Almost definitely not. Are you also then increasing your injury risk beyond the point of hydration, just hydration? Of course you are, because if you're not concentrating, if you are feeling fatigued, then you're not going to be able to make the correct decisions on the court, on the field, wherever you're at, that will help to then prevent that injury going forward. So what's more likely to happen then is you're not paying enough attention to your sport, and potentially that means that you make a poor decision about maybe the direction of the player in front of you, that's where they're going. Maybe you make a poor decision about where to put your foot in relation to another player's foot, and you end up with another injury as well. So often things can be compounding. So to stay hydrated, drink enough water throughout the day, especially when you're active, especially in hot weather. Listen to your body. If you're thirsty, thirst isn't the first sign that your body is dehydrated. Thirst is the second. We should not be feeling thirsty. If you're not feeling thirsty, and because you've been drinking a lot of water, then that's quite a good sign that actually you're well hydrated. If you've not been feeling thirsty, then you felt really thirsty, and then you stopped feeling thirsty, that's a bad sign. That means that you're really dehydrated. By the point that your body said, look, you're thirsty, and you ignored it, and that thirst call kind of stopped, that means that you're really struggling for water. So don't let it get to that thirsty stage. Drink enough water before then. And by keeping our bodies nice and hydrated, we give our body the support it needs to recover and prevent injuries. So let's just remember to keep drinking our water regularly and keep our superhero-like hydration levels up and happy. So when it comes to, as well, like preventing injuries through nutrition, some of the things that I sort of want to be talking about is optimal bone density, muscle strength, and joint health, because the better they are, then the less injuries you're obviously likely to sustain. And proper nutrition plays a crucial role in preventing injuries by supporting the health of our bones, our muscles, our joints. Good nutrition provides like the essential nutrients to help build strong bones, maintain muscle mass, and keep everything healthy. So if our bones are really strong, then that's going to decrease our risk of fractures. That's regardless of age, regardless of sport. You know, no one wants to have a fracture. And also bone-related injuries decrease as well. So that'll be things like a stress fracture. You hear people getting like shin splints. We also get basic fifth metatarsal, so that's like the outside of our foot. Pretty sure Wayne Rooney had an injury there back in the day. But we get stress fractures to those kind of to those places, sorry. So adequate nutrition will help support our bone structure, our bone density, and make it less likely to then have bony issues like that. And if our muscles are strong and our joints are healthy, you know, we are much better equipped to handle physical stress and to reduce the risk of strains, sprains, and that kind of thing on our joints, on our ligaments, and on our tendons. On the topic of thirst and hydration, I have probably not drunk enough today because I am so busy in between people. So if you see me in clinic, remind me to drink. So calcium, vitamin D, and magnesium are very important in bone health as well. So calcium is a vital mineral for maintaining strong bones. I'm sure you used to hear it when you were a kid from your mum, like drink your milk, you need your calcium, or your yogurts. I'm pretty sure my mum was more on the yogurt train for me, and also for your teeth as well, keeping them nice and strong. We need good calcium levels. It helps in bone formation and prevents bone loss as well. So actually, I had a client recently she's in her 70s, and she has not been treated for osteoporosis, although she has it, but she couldn't go on the medication for various other reasons. But on her most recent DEXA scan, which is a scan that looks at your bone mineral density, how much muscle you've got, how much fat you've got, and that kind of thing, she'd actually increased the amount of bone mineral density she had from last time, which is almost unheard of. And all we've done is got her exercising more and just trying to think more mindfully about the calcium rich foods and vitamin D and magnesium that she was having, and from that she managed to actually increase her bone mineral density, which is incredible, because for someone in their 70s that's incredibly hard, because typically we say most of your bone mineral density is laid down before you're 18. So it's super important nutrition wise, but also exercise wise, to make sure that you're doing lots of stuff that's going to help that before that age. But instances like that actually prove that we are still laying it down later on. It's just that little bit harder. So making sure that in every stage of life we're having enough calcium, and good sources of calcium include like dairy products, milk, yogurt, cheeses, and other options can be like leafy green vegetables, kale, broccoli, fortified plant-based milks as well, such as almond or soy milk, and tofu for those of you that are vegan, vegetarian as well. But making sure we're having lots of those throughout our whole life is going to help prevent injuries later on. Vitamin D, I sort of mentioned it earlier, but actually in this context it plays a really important role in calcium absorption and bone health. So you can have loads of calcium, if you're not having the vitamin D, then it's not going to get absorbed into your bones anyway, so what's the point? So making sure that we're having enough of that, vitamin D, to get the calcium into the places that we want it to go, because it helps us utilise calcium really effectively. And while sunlight is an excellent source of vitamin D, you know, someone like myself, I work inside, so I don't always get a chance to go outside, and as much as I will always attempt to get outside every day, it doesn't always happen. So you can take a tablet, like I said earlier, like I do anyway, but you can also get it from food sources, including like fatty fish, like salmon and mackerel, and fortified dairy products as well, like I mentioned earlier. So you can go back and listen to that as well if you missed that. And then magnesium, which I sort of touched on earlier but didn't speak loads about, is another essential mineral for bone health, as it helps with calcium absorption as well, and it helps support our bone density. And good sources of calcium, again, like I said before, you can have like Sedame, like I take at night, but almonds and cashews are quite good. Seeds like pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, legumes, so like black beans, lentils, whole grains. Sorry, the volume has just probably gone up in here because someone's put a big fan on downstairs. Brown rice, quinoa, leafy green vegetables as well. They're really good sources of magnesium. So by including these like calcium-rich foods, vitamin D and magnesium in our diet, we do provide our body with the necessary building blocks for maintaining optimal bone density and promoting health as well. And that obviously in turn then helps us prevent injuries, provided we're also hitting all of the other things I spoke about earlier: protein, vitamins, minerals, all of that good stuff too. And as a physiotherapist and working in a clinic, something that we often do a lot with our clients is we do look at their diet, because some people come in and they're not overweight, but they're maybe not eating as well as they could. So often we do sit down with them, we go through their total daily energy expenditure, we work out what is their baseline calories and how can we change what they're currently eating to better support their recovery as well. So that is certainly something that we do with people. And those that are on the larger side, maybe they are bigger, they are overweight, they are obese, we do also educate them, we do get them to follow more of a strict kind of diet plan. And the reason that we do that is because we know that almost any injury is going to be compounded if you are also overweight. So if this is something that you are struggling with, if you feel like you don't know what you should be eating, you don't know how much you should be eating, how many calories, how much protein, carbohydrates, anything like that, then please get in contact with me. It's something that we can look into and help you for. Even if it's not related to physio, we can help you separately with that as well. So please make sure to ask me after this. But yes, I hope you enjoyed this live. So essentially, make sure you're drinking enough water, you're eating enough calcium, but with your calcium you're having your vitamin D and your magnesium, and you're getting enough sort of protein rich foods and lots of vitamins and minerals, and that should help to prevent injuries and also help with your recovery. If you've got any questions, I'll stay on for a minute or so just so you can ask me them, but if not, you can always message me anytime or comment below. Great, thank you so much for joining, and I will see you again next month for my next live. If you've got anything that you want me to discuss, then let me know. Thank you, bye.